Bun Bun was heartwarming in so many different ways, and that's an unintended pun, seeing as how most of the episode takes place in the Fire Kingdom. There's just so many positive emotions packed into this episode, and we even get several brief character studies that are perfectly interlaced into the central unfolding plot. Despite there being multiple events, PB worrying about CB, CB trying to take care of and educate BB, Finn rekindling his friendship with FP, technically FK now, and former FK becoming CK. Despite all this occurring, the episode did not feel cluttered at all. The flow of events felt natural and seamless, despite the unorthodox story structure. I adored the impeccable manner in which this episode was carried out, and I had a big ol' beaming smile on my face when it was all over. Bun Bun begins with Cinnamon Bun on a royal mission of delivering a get-well card for Hot Dog Princess to the Candy Kingdom. While Princess Bubblegum has had an arc about losing the trust of her citizens in the kingdom, thus causing her to reconsider the manner in which she rules over her citizens, CB has been living in the Fire Kingdom and obviously has been mostly removed from these events. His views of PB have not swayed much since the last time he expressed them.
Yeah, she's devious.
Thus, when PB asks how CB is doing merely to check up on him, he is still very wary. He's willing to stay and converse with Bonnie, but with hesitation, and even then, only briefly. Princess Bubblegum has no ulterior motivations in asking how CB is doing. She genuinely cares for the guy and is happy that he has done so well for himself. I did get the impression though that behind PB's cordial tone, she has somewhat bittersweet feelings about CB. He did become happier and more competent by basically leaving her. But Bonnie understands that it's ultimately his choice, and she suppresses those slight feelings of sadness, which stem from being incapable of providing a suitable environment for one of her citizens/creations. Princess Bubblegum does empathize with Cinnamon Bun's feelings of slight loneliness from being in an environment where he's basically the odd man out. After all, PB built her kingdom in the first place to recreate a feeling of connection to others that she used to have. Although CB likes the Fire Kingdom and seems to be getting along fine with its inhabitants, there's aspects of the Candy Kingdom culture he still misses. There's an implication that different types of beings function and interact in slightly different ways. For CB, there's a lack of a shared heritage, and he expresses this in a veiled manner when he states,
There's no other candy people, so that's weird.
Princess Bubblegum deciding to make a new candy person to live with Cinnamon Bun speaks volumes about her. It's an action that's fueled by caring and love, but at the same time, it's a highly self-righteous action. At no point does she actually confirm with CB that this is something he wants. CB has a job and responsibilities now, and Bun Bun is in many ways similar to a child that needs to be taken care of, so this could cut into CB's other responsibilities around the Fire Kingdom. In the end, it all turns out fine. Probably. But the point remains, Bonnie doesn't take the opinions of others into consideration and assumes she knows what's best for others without actually consulting them. And she goes on to make a brand new life form at that, which granted is a completely unexceptional thing for her at this point. Just because PB is trying to ease back on her controlling personality, it hardly means she's free from flaws, and I absolutely love that. The phrase, "the road to hell is paved with good intentions," is still directly relevant towards PB's character. Princess Bubblegum was in this episode for a very short duration of time, and yet she got a great, brief character study. And speaking of great brief character studies, this episode has plenty more where that came from. Bun Bun is like an innocent, hyperactive child. While she's got a big heart, she's also naive and ignorant of the world around her, while also lacking the patience to properly understand it. As CB tries to educate Bun Bun, she ends up reminding him of his past self, back when he was still half-baked and a complete goof. Before PB had even created BB, CB had a recollection of a moment from the first season which established that he feels shame when he thinks of his old identity. In the Fire Kingdom, everyone gets amusement from Bun Bun's actions, much like candy people used to be amused by Cinnamon Bun's actions. CB, on the other hand, sees Bun Bun's actions as hugely embarrassing.
Bun Bun!
An old aspect of oneself that somebody has since moved on from is often perceived as exceptionally immature and embarrassing in hindsight. Therefore, CB overreacts to actions others find relatively harmless and even entertaining. Fire Kingdom citizens are rather chaotic after all. Knocking over some statues and destroying some paintings is relatively mild considering the Shakespearean nature the kingdom had until recent times. This scene is very telling of CB's own insecurities that have developed since he relocated to the Fire Kingdom. The parallels between BB and CB even lead to the recreation of setting a restrained fire person seen as dangerous free.
Do not open that door.
You see that button over there? Whatever you do...
Button!
However, amidst the chase after the former Flame King, Cinnamon Bun begins to discover that while Bun Bun has some similarities to his old self, she is also very different from him. This initial realization is interestingly portrayed by him being dazzled by her flipping ability which he lacks, as well as the ability to flip over from a lying position without help. But the differences go beyond just physical ability. Bun Bun's energetic and open-hearted eagerness is able to make the former Flame King reconsider his current state in life, and even take joy from and embrace what he would have considered a lowly position in the past. Flame King becomes the Chipmunk King and takes his first steps towards finding happiness due to Bun Bun. And this is where CB realizes that Bun Bun doesn't have to come to any sort of epiphany about the world or change her behavior like CB himself did. Bun Bun was capable of achieving something nobody else was capable of doing up to this point, setting the former Flame King onto a path of recuperation. Had he been left isolated in the lamp, he wouldn't change as a person. His rage might even fester and leave him worse off than before. He was a prisoner quarantined off to protect others from him, without a way to change himself or reintegrate into society until Bun Bun came along. Bun Bun is brilliant just the way she is, goofy rascal persona and all. Cinnamon Bun realizes this and learns that he doesn't have to project his own insecurities onto others. Despite perceived similarities, everyone is different and can do good in different ways. It's quite a poignant way of getting the moral across, and I thought it was wonderful. And of course, in the background of all these events, Finn reignites his friendship with Phoebe and really demonstrates that he has indeed matured. Finn was still not ready to initiate the hanging out himself, as evidenced by the awkward "see ya." Of course, Phoebe has been far more mature a whole 2 seasons ago, and even told Finn they could hang out if he stays honest shortly after the breakup had occurred. While Finn is afraid to reinitiate the friendship, he doesn't make up an excuse and run away when FP does it, which is still a notable step in his development. And Finn's apology is what was really great and worth praising. The first thing he does when they're finally alone is muster up his best effort at a sincere and legitimate apology. And he even fesses up that, in the past, he was a donkus who was apologizing just to make the problem go away, rather than because he understood the full scope of what he did wrong. And after this apology, there's no cringe-inducing attempt at romantic reconciliation, or pathetic questions about whether such a thing would be possible in the future. Finn is done thinking with his dick. The phase of being a hormone-induced, self-centered jerkwad is behind him, and it was so awesome to see Finn's growth culminate. I do think Finn still has a bunch of emotional intelligence he needs to develop, but he's clearly on his way and is breaking away from the self-destructive streak he was stuck in last season. So yeah, I'm astounded how this episode manages to balance so many things. A single character being fleshed out in the manner that occurred in this episode is already great. And yet, Bun Bun somehow manages to flesh out 4 characters, PB, CB, FK, and Finn, while also introducing us to the new character, Bun Bun. And it was all wrapped up in a heartwarming package to boot. Bun Bun is another shining example of why I love Adventure Time.